have the honor to introduce to you today Tim Schmidt from Rejuve Medical. Tim has over 10 years of networking experience, has studied and mastered 40 leadership, self-help, and sales books that have led to the inspiration behind his education in networking. So welcome, Tim.
Well, cool. Well, first and foremost, thank you for having me out here today, and thank you for the great turnout. You never know what you're going to get. You come here and get an audience, and there's like 3 people. And then you're kind of awkward because you're like, it's networking, but how do we network these 3 people? And how do we get them some results? So no, thank you to you all for being here. I think I counted close to 40 people here, so that's exciting. It's really exciting. And if I was to tell you that I wasn't nervous, I would be lying to you. I think everybody who gets up and speaks in front of their peers or in front of others and has a moment to teach someone something has earned a large responsibility to share that message with someone else. So the words that I present to you today aren't necessarily all of my own, but it's just a message that I've been called to deliver to you. And I hope that's what I do for you all here today, is to deliver something that's impactful and something that you can take with you today and then also experience success using it and applying it. So a little bit about myself. Like you said, I had 10 years of experience in networking. That is true. I've been networking really actually even longer than that if we look back and really look at the stats behind it. And to take a long story short, I was the guy in high school that didn't really necessarily just settle into one group of friends. I was kind of that click buster. And it was always my goal in high school to be the most well-rounded individual so that when I left there, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. Funny thing is, I was the most well-rounded individual that I could think I could possibly be, but I knew nothing of what I was going to do. So I was good at a lot of things, but never the best at anything, and as that individual. And so that kind of led me to get into college. I went over to St. John's, and I went for communications with a minor in the arts, and I pursued that for some time, and then ended up getting hired out by Pleasureland RV Center, and I sold campers, which, by the way, was my second most favorite job I've ever had. My favorite job I ever had was working at Dairy Queen in Clearwater. That was a blast. I'll tell you, I came up with some pretty cool ice cream treats. And it doesn't show it, but I did. And so we had a lot of fun creating blizzards and having fun. But we also, my favorite job outside of that was selling campers, because I was selling something that wasn't like selling toilet paper and toothpaste. I was selling the birthday party and the birthday cake, you know what I mean? So it wasn't something that they had to buy, it was something that they were honored to buy. So that was a lot of fun because it allowed me to paint the picture of what they were going to have, futurecast what their life was going to be like with this new camper, what their family memories were going to be, and what their experiences were going to be. So it allowed me to kind of start getting some skills about how to relate and connect with people, and then how to establish and build their future and show them what they could have. And it was me kind of giving them a hand up. So anyway, I went from there, started selling radio advertising. Now, any of you who are in here who sell radio advertising, my hat is off to you. Because it's difficult, but you know what? It's fun because it's that hard knock life, and it's that tough getting out there and being good at what you do, but also being knowledgeable at it and earning that confidence because you're earning the competence. And that allowed me to kind of gear my way into, okay, now I want to get into the community, and how can I be involved in the community? And that's when I presented myself to one of my clients and said, you know, I'd like to work for you and run your restoration company because I hear you're struggling through some of this stuff. And I feel that I've got some networks that I could probably tie into and start getting you known. And so that's what I did. And I partnered with a restoration company that was a little too far too gone. So then I created my position at Restoration Professionals. And I really have a huge line of gratitude for restoration professionals, even though they're not in this area anymore. And the reason for that is because they got me networked. And what they did is they got me networked in this community. So instead of just being networked internationally, I was now networked in the community. And so they allowed me to come into an environment, and they paid me to come to chamber events. They paid me to attend things like this and really start to learn who other people were. And so then I went from Restoration Professionals, then I ended up, one of the places I ended up at is now is Rejuve Medical, where I'm now their business development director, and I'm just kind of in charge of overseeing many different operations and facets of the business. So my day-to-day operations are very different every day. Some days I'm coaching, some days I'm sitting behind a computer screen and building websites. So it really changes from my day-to-day. My family at home, I've got 2 awesome kids and one on the way. I've got Dominic, he's 4, and then I've got Bennett, who is 1 year old, both born in March. So they have a good gap and a good time gap there. And then we've got one coming October 8th. We've got our 3rd child coming, so I'm really excited about that. And so we're halfway to 5. I guess we're over the halfway mark here pretty soon to 5. And then we're pretty excited about that. So my wife, she's amazing. She's actually my mentor and coach. She keeps my head in check, and her name is Mandy. So that's a little bit about my family and my background and kind of where I come here. But wouldn't it be interesting if I said, you know, I've got a subpar family, an average wife. Can you imagine? I always get excited when I hear people get up on the stage and they talk and they say, I've got this amazing wife. I've got amazing. It's true, though. My wife is amazing and my family is really cool. And you would feel that way if you met them. So anyway, I just get a kick out of that. So what we're going to talk about today is networking. And it was really funny. Actually, I was at a networking convention down in the cities in Minneapolis. And I'm going to one in Chicago, so sorry. Anyway, I was down in Minneapolis, and it was really funny because there was a gentleman that came in and was talking about networking. And his name is Ivan Meisner. And any of you know Ivan Meisner, have heard of him, right? He runs the BNI organizations and such. So we're down there, and one of the goals of this convention was to create joint ventures or JV programs and affiliate programs. So the goal was kind of to network with other businesses so that you could sell your product to that business so that they would sell it for you, right? Here's what was funny. So Ivan Meisner gets up on stage and he says, if you have a business card, pull it out right now. So everybody's pulling out their business card. He says, hold it up in the air and give me a hurrah. And everybody gives a hurrah. And then he says, now, if you're excited to sell something today, give a big hurrah. And everybody gives this big hurrah. He says, if you're excited to buy something today, give a big hurrah. The place was silent. I think there was one guy that went, woohoo! You know, just to kind of be the guy that did the woohoo to be heard, right? And Ivan said, everybody get to know that guy, you know, and so it was really kind of comical. But it's the truth. That's the networking disconnect nowadays. Everybody's out to sell something, but nobody's out to buy anything, right? And so we kind of become disconnected. And it's really funny, too, because it's kind of like giving a power tool, right? If I give you a power tool and I say, here's your saw, go cut that piece of plywood, but I don't give you a power source to plug it into, how long are you going to be there that night? You know what I mean? So you got to always have something that's going to power some of the amazing tools that are in front of you. And I think some of the amazing tools that are around us every day are people. And so how do we power those people? And that's why I named this talk Networking Unplugged. For two reasons, really. Number one, because we're going to learn about people. And number two, the other reason is that, you know what? I'm just going to kind of go on some tangents on a lot of different things. And so it's going to be a lot of fun. So y'all ready? Let's dive in. So when I first started networking with referral, or actually even further back with that, when I was first networking with Regent Broadcasting, one of my clients invited me out to their open house. And so I showed up to their open house, and of course, I don't know anybody that is going to be at this open house. And so I'm starting to get nervous because, you know, I'm here because I just want to show this guy that, you know, I'm his radio guy and I want to be his cool client, and he's my biggest client, and so I need to show my gratitude to him, and I'm going to show up to his event, right? Then I started thinking, well, what if I'm only there 30 minutes? Is he going to look at that as, you know, why did this guy only show up for 30 minutes and bail? Am I not that important? So I started thinking about all these different excuses. And meanwhile, the radio's playing, you know, Beautiful Day by U2 or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, this is good, you know. Trying to get jazzed up, and I'm cranking up a little more, but I just get a little bit more nervous as I'm listening. And lo and behold, I started thinking, you know, maybe I could come up with an excuse. My mom's birthday today. So I'm going to go as my mom's birthday, so I got to leave early because we're going to go to dinner, right? Or, no, that's not going to work. And I started thinking, well, maybe I'll just get sick enough because I'm nervous enough right now that I'll just actually throw up. Or maybe what I could do is just go in the bathroom next door over at the Home Depot, and I could, you know, walk into the bathroom, give the guy a call, grab a wad of toilet paper, start chucking it up in the air, say it, and then just tell him, you know what, I'm in the bathroom right now, I'm throwing up, I can't make it. And as a matter of fact, it's white. Throwing up the toilet paper, right? So now I'm not lying. So I'm thinking of all these excuses, and I'm just not coming up with anything. And actually, all the nerves and all the thought that went into it probably took more energy than me just going into the stinking party, right? So anyway, I think this relates to a lot of us. A lot of us can feel that way sometimes when we're going into an event. We feel kind of in a foreign place, or we feel just kind of as an outcast, or why would anyone care if I'm there anyway, or why do I even matter in the first place? And so that's what I want to cover right now. And so I'm going to kind of start and kind of go back a little bit to, you know, what is it that creates relationships, and how do we start these relationships, and then what progresses from the relationship. The first and foremost, we got to clear our minds of selling something. We got to clear our minds of our own selfish needs and desires and, you know, admirations and everything that we know about us. We have to let it go. And we have to go in with an open mind and just be willing to communicate with someone else and learn about them. Because the whole idea behind networking is collecting information. That's all we want. I remember actually even having a conversation with John Hergis from Falcon Bank, and he said, oh, I hear you're building a new building. absolutely, we are. And I could just see him biting his tongue. He wanted to say, do you have somebody to finance that building? You know, you could just feel it. But the guy is so powerful and he's so amazing. If any of you have ever met him or haven't met him, I encourage you to meet John Hergis from Falcon Bank because he's an amazing networker. But I could just see him biting that tongue, you know. And a few days later, I get a note, you know, a nice thank you note saying it was nice connecting with you. And oh, by the way, I have this service that I'd love to introduce to you and so on and so forth, which is amazing. Just a class act individual. And so we have to know that it's not about our intentions and what we're doing. We want to learn more about other people. So to break this down, how do we develop relationships? Well, number one, we have to break the silence. How many of you think that's an awkward situation in a relationship, breaking the silence? Now, how many of you have already broken a relationship boundary, you're in a conversation, and then you have that moment of silence? Any of you? And it's really awkward, just like, well, the weather's nice, you know? It's nice out, and yeah, it's just awkward. So coming up with some of those clever ways to break out of those situations would also be a good thing to learn and know. The funny thing behind that, too, is that we've always been taught as kids, don't talk to strangers. Your family ever tell you, don't talk to strangers? Well, guess what? Those habits are bred into you whether you like it or not. And so when you get older, the first thing that goes through your head is don't talk to strangers. And especially if they offer you candy, don't talk to strangers. And so all these trade shows where they're giving away candy, don't talk to them. I'm just kidding. So anyway, we got to break that habit. And it all starts really basic, just smiling at people. How do you approach people? If you're at the grocery store, are you stern-faced walking through that grocery store focused on what you need to get for yourself that night? Or are you open-minded enough to say that when you walk past somebody, you smile at them? Or do you still have chivalry, and do you still open the door for someone if they don't have automatic doors, right? And some of those things kind of come into play because in networking, it's not, you really live in a glass house. It's not who you are just all the time. It's not who you are just in the workplace all the time. It's who you are even outside the workplace. You live in a glass house when you're networking because your reputation rides with you. And your representation rides with you, how you present yourself and how you carry yourself. And because that's really the truth behind who you are, is who you are when no one's looking. And that's where I think all integrity stands. And so if you are out and about, especially if you're wearing your logo, if you're part of Rejuve's company, I'm telling you what, if you're wearing your logo wear, you better be a class act in the public because we don't need any of that garbage out there if it's not. And so we really stay true to that. We watch what our employees are doing outside the workplace, especially if they're wearing their logo wear. So that becomes very important to us. So when you are, think about that all the time. Well, who are you when no one's looking? And it's funny too, you know, if you smile at a baby, what do they usually do? They smile back at you, unless they think you look weird, and then they cry. That usually happens to me a lot. But no, typically they smile back at you, right? They like to interact with people. They smile, they laugh, they're cute, they're friendly, they're fun, and they also make you feel fun and friendly and cute and smile back. It's kind of a cool mirror effect, right? That's why whenever there's little kids in the room, as long as they're not screaming and bouncing off the walls, unless they're at Bounce Depot, it's okay, right? It's fun because we like to see that childlike mentality, that just the little kid attitude that everything's fun and everything's new and everything's exciting, right? It's kind of the same reason why when you get a job for the first time, you're really excited for the first maybe year at the most because you're in pursuit of a new dream. You're in pursuit of a new goal. You're going to change the world through that company. You're going to change that company through you. You always have all these thoughts and these ideas and these goals and these aspirations and ambitions that you're going to do something for that company. Well, I think that's really what yields happiness too, isn't it? When we're smiling, what yields happiness? The only way that we can be happy in my eyes, and this is my own humble but accurate opinion, the only way that you can be happy is if you're in pursuit of a dream or a goal. Isn't it not true? Think about the people in your life that are just negative all the time and just draining all the time. Why are they draining and negative? Because they see other people with goals, aspirations, dreams, and hopes of succeeding, and they have to tear down their dreams, hopes, and aspirations and ways of succeeding and criticize them, and they become this critic because they see others succeeding around them and they don't have a purpose or a goal. So I think what a lot of times happens is people get out there and meet with these people, and then they go, well, you're negative and stupid, I don't want to be around you. And they don't even give them the time of day, and then they also start throwing up all these judgments about them, and now they can never network with that individual. What if that individual is the one person that could connect them to the next big client or their next big person, right? Well, here they have all these judgments and aspirations against them, when all that really could have happened is they could have given them a hand up and tried to tell them or show them or preach to them that what is good about this individual. And if they would have complimented that individual a long time ago or told that individual what they're good at, that individual probably could have got excited and probably started a new dream, goal, or aspiration. What would have that brought? It would have brought happiness to that individual. And then that happiness would have yielded, hey, thank you for doing that. I'm grateful to you. And oh, by the way, here's my biggest client, and you should be yours too. You just never know that ripple effect, right? And I just went way deep into my talk, but I'm coming back now, right? Man, I love this stuff. So, listening. So one thing I can't do right now is just listen. It would be pretty fun, though. It would just be a cool talk if I just said, all right, all you guys tell me stuff. Everybody talking, that would be kind of fun. But anyway, listening, there's 3 things about listening. Number 1, there's visual listening, there's mental listening, and there's verbal listening, right? And so people know when you're listening because they're getting head nods, they're quiet, you know, they aren't eating their crunchy chips. Which, by the way, everybody, when you eat crunchy chips, nobody can hear you, so don't worry about it, you can just chew them up. I always think that's so funny. You all know what I'm talking about, too. That's what's funny about it. You're like, do I eat my chips right now? Because they're really loud and crunchy. No, nobody can hear you. You can only hear yourself. So anyway, man, I get on tangents sometimes. So that's just totally me. So anyway, when you're listening, listening goes deep. Okay, listening goes more than the surface layer. When I talk about listening, I talk about it like drilling a well of water, right? When you're listening, you're looking for, what's the best way to put it? You want conversation in the future. You know those people that you get around and it's like you just pick up, like you just where you left off, but you haven't met with them for like 2 or 3 years? But when you meet with them, it's like you just know exactly what you want to talk about. That's because you've drilled the well of water. You have something to drink from the next time you meet with that individual. But if it stays shallow and it's a shallow conversation all the time, you're always just in a rocky place. You never really have anything to work with because you just always kind of stuck, right? And it's always dry. So here's what I mean by it. A lot of times when you talk to somebody, it could even be conflict resolution. So this could go even beyond networking. When you're talking to somebody, usually if you say, hey, how is your family? Well, my family's good. Well, go a layer deeper. Tell me more. You know, it's funny, Chad and I were having a conversation. Chad used that exact line. Well, tell me more. But, what's going on with your family? How many kids do you have now? And so all of a sudden, you could go a layer deeper. And now I could introduce to Chad that I'm having my 3rd child. Chad's excited. Chad has gratitude that he had that conversation. Chad can now take notes on that and keep that in his books so he knows that next time we have a conversation, even though it's a year from now, you can say, hey, how did the birth go for the child? It's in October, whatever. So a lot of that stuff is really clever and cool because you can always use those things to go a little bit layer deeper. And then even to go even further deeper, you can have those conversations where basically you're listening so attentively that you know the message behind the message. Kind of like when I said, everybody pull out your cell phone. No, I'm not going to tell you to silence your cell phone. It was kind of like, even though I told you not to silence it, a lot of you probably went, oh yeah, I got to silence it. It's kind of the message behind the message. My wife does this to me all the time. I'm telling you. Women think differently, first off. As you can tell, I'm moving through my conversation. I'm pulling out box after box, and it's just like I've got to talk about one subject and move to the next subject. My wife is totally different. And it's awesome. But the cool thing is she'll do this all the time. So we'll have a conversation. By the end of the conversation, I know I better empty that dishwasher or I'm toast that night. You know what I mean? She had one of those days where you better kind of do what she's not saying and do it. But I think the same thing happens when you're in sales, when you're networking, when you're talking to people. There's so many things that people don't reveal to us that they want to tell us, but it's awkward and uncomfortable maybe, or it's just not the right time. But they're just searching for a way to introduce something to you. But if you're willing to sit back and be slow and listen, you'll catch up on it. And all of a sudden, it just clicks. And now you know. It's just like, I know exactly what I need to do with this individual. I know their hot buttons. A lot of people will say, well, this individual is only motivated by money and they're so shallow I can't stand them. Really? That's what they're motivated by money? Well, that's a layer. That's the first layer. All you've ever gotten to know that individual is the grassroots level. But if they really would have dug deep into the well, they would have found out really quickly that if they would have thought, where is that money going to? This individual might come to you more often than not and say, I just need more money, I need a raise, I need a raise, I need a raise. But then you start thinking about it, and you get to the deeper layer, and you realize that they're trying to feed the hungry children in Africa with this money, and that's why they're motivated by money. So were they ever motivated by money? No, they're motivated by feeding hungry children in Africa. Well, there's water, there we go. Now we got something to talk about. And so that's what we got to do when we're listening is really, first off, be willing to shut our mouth, and second of all, be willing to listen. And then also one of those things too that I like to talk about is that you got to be willing to not one-up somebody's conversation. You know, I just got back from an amazing trip in Hawaii a few months back, and I sure could tell you a lot because I was there for 2.5 weeks, and I could tell you everything there is to know about Oahu that I saw through my eyes, right? But if I'm talking to somebody and they say, you know what, I just got back from Oahu, I just stayed at Waikiki Beach, I was surfing, I got up for the first time in my surf lessons, it was so amazing. The last thing I want to do is say, well, yeah, I was in Oahu too, I was there almost 3 weeks, and I took a helicopter tour of the island. I just killed the conversation, you know what I mean? And what does that individual think of you? They think you're a pretty shallow individual too, because you just one-upped them. And this happens all the time at family events. If you go to a family event, you know it's coming. And it's usually the very thing that starts a fight in the conversation over the Thanksgiving table, right? But some people, they just seem like they got to one-up everybody, but that's because they're wearing a sign around their neck that says, please tell me I'm important. That's the only reason why they're one-upping people. It's because they have this sign around their neck that says, please just tell me I'm important. And if you can humble yourself and just say, you know what, that's pretty amazing, tell me more, and then you can get more out of that conversation, you could probably steer that conversation pretty quickly. But think about that conversationalist or that person that you like to go and talk to all the time. Why do you like to talk to them all the time? Because you talk to them. They're a good listener, right? And that's why they're your favorite all-time conversationalist person. Because see, there's a gossiper, there's a bore, and there's a conversationalist. The gossiper talks about other people all the time, and they talk negatively. A bore talks about themselves all the time, and a conversationalist listens. Right? True? Getting some head nods? Some people are tuning out now? No, just kidding. So it's pretty cool. After you gain some of that information, though, what you want to do is you want to go ahead and store that information somewhere. Have a Rolodex. You know, I don't know who still owns a Rolodex, but if you do, I apologize. I'm just putting you down. So if you have a Rolodex or you have something, go ahead and start putting those notes into something. What I use is what's called CamCard. It's an app on my phone. And what I can do is I can pull up CamCard. And in CamCard, I can basically take a photo of the business card of whoever gave me their business card. And then it stores all their information. It automatically scans their information into my phone. And then I can go ahead and go to my card holder. And in my card holder, I've got everybody's business cards already scanned in there, so I can throw away their business card. I don't lose my phone, but I lose business cards. And then also what's interesting about it is I can go in here and I can go, let's find John Schroeder's card from Town Square Media. I can open him up. And I can tell you everything about John. I'm not going to because it's personal. But I'll tell you what, it's pretty handy because now I can go back and refuel those conversations that we left off at. And the other neat thing is now I know that John Schroeder likes to walk in the gardens barefoot, so right now I'm having those conversations with him. Hey, when are you going to plant your garden? I'll bet you already have a garden, little greenhouse in your house right now that's ready to go out, when summer comes, right? So we can talk gardening. We can have a great conversation about it. And he feels good because he got to talk, and I learned more information. And then I learned that he likes to walk barefoot in his garden. Why does he like to walk barefoot in his garden? Because as a kid, his mother used to be out there picking beans and stuff, and then he would go out there as a kid barefoot and run through the garden. Just thought it was a cool feeling, right? So all these little things that you can start to learn about people are going to help you network because you're going to start building that trust. And I'm going to talk about trust in a little bit. Some of the networking crimes. There are bombs in networks, and they're just waiting to blow up. Right? Y'all have those relationships that if the wrong information gets into the wrong hands of one of those people you're networked with, your whole network could explode. And you have this big master grid of a network, right? And all of a sudden there's this bomb right here, and you're like, oh. So again, it goes back to living in the glass house. There's information that you have that you got to keep. I'm sorry for you, really, But I also think that if you can position yourself right, you can have those bombs in your life. But the nice thing is you can reveal that information to individuals, and you can share it, and it can become nothing. So, but the crimes that can really explode a network and actually destroy a network are going to be things like this. There's 4 of them. 4 rules that I always say will throw you in networking prison. Number 1, never mess with anyone's money. If there's a transactional dispute and you just aren't sure, did I pay you, did I not pay you, did I do this or did I not, or did I give you the correct change or did I not, just make sure that you're on the other end where you lose, because in the end you'll win. So never mess with anyone's money. It's a huge key. Number 2, never mess with anyone's spouse. Never mess with their family. It'll blow you up fast. Just don't do it. You know what? Be respectful, but have dignity. You know, there's ways to properly greet someone's spouse. There's ways to properly talk to someone. You know, unless there's an appropriate reason to have that spouse's phone number in your phone, don't put it in your contact list. Always go to that person and ask for that number if you need it. Those sorts of things. Also, you know, even if you're going to a conference or something, it's just you and another coworker. Don't ride in the car alone with another gender. Why? Oh, Tim, why do you bring this stuff up? This is kind of deep, isn't it? Well, yeah, because I want you to win. See, if you ride in the car with another gender that's not of your own, that people don't know, and all of a sudden you're driving by and you're at a stoplight by Dairy Queen, and they're like, hey, that's Bobby, and why is that girl with her? Isn't he married? You know, doesn't he have a spouse? Where are they going? You know, and all of a sudden people just start thinking up weird stuff. But if you can avoid those situations, why not try and avoid them? Is it going to always happen that way? You know, can you always avoid that situation? No, but if you can, do it. You know, why not? Never mess with anyone's ego. Never mess with anyone's ego. I don't have to go much into that one because it's pretty straightforward. Don't mess with their ego. It'll throw you in prison real fast. And don't spread that gossip. Never spread negative, right? If you have something negative to say about somebody, either take it to them or just digest it and eliminate it. Forgive, you know? That's going to be the easiest way because either way it's going to stir up bad emotion. It's going to come back and destroy your network. So just never mess with anyone's ego and never spread negative because you don't want to be that guy. And also with gossip and negative, I mean, if somebody's willing to come to you and they tell you the gossip of the world and the new trending news but behind why somebody is a bad person, what are they saying about you when you tell them something that's your misfortune and your weakness? Are they spreading that to the world too? Odds are they are. So how much trust do they have when they're spreading negative? Pretty little. So how much trust are people putting in you when you're the one spreading the negative? I'll leave that up to you to think about. That's deep. That's dark. Joke time. No, just kidding. Now, moving back into building relationships. I get off subject sometimes. Building relationships, some of the things that we want to cover is call people by name. Dale Carnegie talks about this all the time. And actually, Dale Carnegie had a knack for this. He was able to call everybody by name all the time. And you know, he had a memory of, you know, an astronaut, I swear. I don't know if astronauts really have a strong memory, but he was good. He just knew what to do, when to do it, and how to call people by their name. Because the greatest words to me is Tim or Dad. I like that one too. It's so powerful. It just makes you, oh, I heard my name. That guy has my name. That's a great name, you know? That sort of thing. It always happens. I want to talk to that guy because he has my name. There's even like a Facebook club out there for Timothys. If your name is Timothy, you can be a part of the group. Well, dang it, I'm in. You know what I mean? Sign me up for that one because that's a good one. So it's funny. Some of the things people admire and get excited about. Yes, that's right. I get excited about that. Be friendly and helpful. See, I also manage 30 townhouses outside of what I do with Rejuve Medical. So I manage these townhomes, and when you're managing 30 houses, you're really in charge of 275 people, which really in hindsight, if I was the mayor of Pease, Minnesota, I would be the mayor right there, you know? So it's really funny because people call me the mayor. I get a kick out of it. But whenever that doorbell rings, there's two ways I can react. When the doorbell rings, I can either go, "Gah! Stinking doorbell, I'm going to unplug that son of a sucker someday. You know, hate that doorbell." Or I can stand up and go, "Doorbell ring, it's my opportunity to help somebody today." And I can open the door and say, "How can I help you today?" There's two ways you can answer it. It's either you can be proactive or you can be reactive. And either you're going to react to a situation or you're going to be proactive to the situation. You're going to keep control, right? And so I always just say approach those negatives as if they're good. Because, see, people aren't the problem. They're actually the key and they're the solution. Sometimes your problem people, the reason why they're a problem is because they're revealing your weaknesses. So you're like, I need to either eliminate them or I need to, you know, take ownership of it. And there's two ways that you can look at that. So being proactive would be taking ownership, and being reactive would try to eliminate it. See what I mean? So we want to really, I cherish those people. When they're problematic, sign me up. I'll take care of them. I'll handle them. Because obviously there's a flaw in my life that needs to be revealed to me, and I need to have that exposed so that I can work on it. I love weaknesses. I'm not afraid of them. Heck, I love failure. We got to fail in networking, right? We have to fail. Some people, they fall down and it's like, boom, pop right back up. Boom, I fell down, but I'm up, so I'm good. I can keep going, right? Well, there's other people, they fall down and they clean the floors while they're down there, right? And then they stand back up and go, yeah, that's right. My floors are clean. Yours are still dirty, sucker. You know what I mean? So when we're networking, it's okay to fail. be genuinely interested in people. Again, this goes back to what I was already talking about earlier, that we got to erase our selflessness, and we got to be genuinely interested in them. I once met with somebody, and I was meeting with them, and they just changed my perspective on it, because I was going and I kind of got long in my meeting. And I said, you know what, I'm sorry, I really went long, and here it was me just rambling on, talking about aimless stuff. This guy was listening. He says, don't worry about it, Tim. He says, I scheduled out an hour and a half for this. I actually put an extra 30 minutes on my schedule just for you. So if there's anything else you'd like to share, please share. He was like, wow, that guy actually put the time in his day to know that I was important enough that he was going to give me that time, and his thoughts were nowhere else but on me. How powerful is that? You know, when you're networking, go with 3 business cards, or 4 or 6 or whatever amount of time you have, and just take that amount of business cards with you, and then go and meet and talk to somebody and really connect with those individuals. And when you do, give them your business card, and then go to the next person and transition, right? Instead of trying to be that guy that's out there, here's my business card, here's my business card. Nice to meet you. I'll be in touch with you soon because you can buy some stuff. And hey, nice to meet you. Hey, you know what? There you go. There's my business card. And you look approachable, so I'm going to talk to you too. Thank you. It's nice to meet you. All right. Have a nice day, everybody. I'm out of here. I've gotten all these cards. Oh, I'm so excited. Oh, my boss is going to be proud. And they start confusing activity with accomplishment. Did they really achieve anything in their network? No, nothing. But they have all this activity, but no accomplishment. So really don't confuse that. So be genuinely interested in people. I don't know how I got into all that. Be considerate of feelings, and learn to be of service to people. How can I help you? What can I do for you? And that's where the chamber becomes a really, really cool network that I've really enjoyed a lot, because it is about a serving business. How can I get someone else some referrals? How can I help somebody else out? And then what can I take from chamber? How can I be more networked with the chamber? You know, how can I be involved? And those who are networking are usually happier in many different ways. They're usually happier in their marriages. They're usually happier in their relationships, their families. They're usually happier in their communities, and they're actually more of a community involvement. There's a great book out there called The Go-Giver. And The Go-Giver is awesome because it talks all about just being that guy who's going to be out there to serve others and serve other people. It's really good. If you haven't gotten it, I recommend it. And you know what, this is kind of interesting, having goals in networking and having just goals in life. See, the people who are more approachable are those who have goals, right? Because again, we're happier, we're pursuing something, we have something to share. So imagine this, imagine if we lived a life without goals. It'd be like this, it'd be like playing a basketball game without a hoop. Can you imagine watching this if the Timberwolves would take away the hoops and say, go play? And they do a jump ball and the guy gets it and he's dribbling. And he says, stay away from me. Don't come by me, this is my ball. And all of a sudden they have this hoarding mentality, right? This is mine and don't you dare touch it. Well, how can you share and give back when you have a hoarding mentality? Well, the whole reason is because you don't have a goal. And then you start thinking about it when you're in networking that sometimes the gifts and talents that you've acquired throughout your years of experience really aren't meant for you at all. Yes, we want to develop them, but sometimes those talents aren't meant for you. See, if you're playing a game of basketball and you're the #1 go-to guy to make a shot from the three-point line and you sink 9 out of 10, if there's a guy blocking you right now, and then there's a little man on the other side, and someone threw you the ball, and now you've got the ball and you need to take that winning shot, and the seconds are winding down, and there's this little guy out there just shivering, just shaking, trembling, but he's wide open, and nobody's covering him because he's the guy that stinks, you know? He doesn't know how to shoot a ball. They need to make 3 to win. What do? You throw him the ball. You know, sometimes your talents and the gifts that you're given really aren't meant for you at all. Sometimes we need to pass those off to someone else and give them the light and the opportunity to make the shot. Lo and behold, he makes the shot, scores, wins the game, the crowd goes nuts, and everybody's giving him the accolades. Granted, there was a team behind him that led him to that specific event, but hadn't you passed the ball, it would have been on you, and then you would have been taking all the glory, and that guy would have never succeeded any further than that. But now it boosts his confidence, his excitement, and his morale, and now he's willing to go out and change somebody else's life. And you have to humble yourself back and say, that guy is great. That guy is worthy of that light that was given to him. But really, all you do is put him in a position to win. So when we're networking, think about your network and who can you go out there to and pass that ball to help them win or help them succeed or help them move forward in some way, shape, or form, right? Because again, when you do that for someone else, a large crowd gathers around that individual, and they're excited about that. But then that individual will never forget where that ball came from. He's going to go, you know what, that was that guy that passed it to me. Oh, you're kidding me. But he's like one of the best. Well, yeah, but he gave it to me. Let me take that light. there's something special about that guy, you know, and then all of a sudden the word spreads out that way that there's something better there. So I like to talk about that. Is this helping people? You guys liking this? I'm telling you, it's unplugged. It's unplugged. I get so fired up sometimes. Really all that life is a realization of our gifts, a realization of our talents. And then the more people that you bring along with you just shows how much more you're enjoying the journey, right? So the more that we bring with us is just how that is. But now we build trust. Why do we trust people? We trust people because we're showing a sign of love to that individual. If I know a lot of weaknesses about somebody, or I'll turn that around. If somebody knows a lot of weaknesses about me, yet they give me their trust, that's pretty loving, isn't it? You know all my weaknesses, yet you're going to still trust me with this stuff? Yeah, I trust you. Sometimes my wife says I'm too trustworthy sometimes. I just give trust to everybody. But you know what? It's always more rewarding and more fulfilling because we become servants to people. And when I say that, you know, it's not serving, you know, serving isn't just an act of, oh, I'm going to become a servant, I'm going to serve people. It's really, when you become a servant, you become, it's almost a fulfillment. You gain riches from that. And when I say riches, I don't mean money, I say riches as in fulfillment. You feel whole, you feel complete because you're giving and you're serving to others. So that success always comes when you're serving to other people. But yeah, it's good. But do not trust people because they're perfect. You trust people because you love them. That's one of the quotes from Dale Carnegie. The other thing is you got to have a sense of humor. I'm going to tell a joke that I told Denny. So there's this grandson and his grandpa. And they're walking on the beach, and they come across this dead pigeon that's laying on the beach, this dead seagull, right? And the little boy looks at it and says, "Grandpa, what happened?" He says, "Well, he died and he went to heaven. He's with Jesus now." Oh. Boy gets really sad. He says, "He's with Jesus." He says, "Yeah, he died." And the boy starts getting a tear in his eye, and he looks up in the sky, looks down at the bird, looks at his grandpa and says, "Then why did Jesus throw him back down?" Again, I love it. Got to have a sense of humor. You got to have some fun. You know, you can't take things so personally. Some people want to express everything that's personable to them. They want to talk about government. They want to talk about politics. They want to talk about everything there is to talk about because they're going to change the world through their opinion. I was that way on Facebook during the election season. I do apologize sincerely if I offended any of you. And I would highly recommend not to do that because you will lose friends in your network. Just kidding. Just kidding. No, it is. It's one of those things that, you know, we can't be judgmental, and we have to have a good sense of humor through everything. We have to learn to be, you know, like a duck, just let it run off your back like water on a duck. It just rolls right off. You know, you seem calm on top of the water, but underneath your legs are just a kicking, and you're still moving through life, right? And when you walk through crowds when you're networking, walk slow, right? If you're always in a hurry, the people that want to catch you will never catch you. And there's sometimes the people that you really want to connect with. So just walk slow through the crowds. Be modest and introduce yourself and say hello. If you see somebody else standing outside the conversation, bring them in. You know, "Hey, did you ever meet this person? You ever met that individual?" "No, I didn't." "Oh, there you go," right? And bring people in. Have graceful exits. You know, if you're done talking, sometimes it can be awkward. Have you all felt that awkwardness where you're just like, "Conversation's done. I met a lot about you. I want to go to the bathroom so I can write down a bunch of notes about you. Have a nice day. You know, I need more pizza." And so that's usually, you know, I always think that that's always an awkward situation. So I don't have time to get into ways to gracefully exit a conversation, but make sure that you take some time. I mean, you can Google it, and there's hundreds of conversational things that you can do to gracefully exit out of a conversation. Heck, there's a book here. I brought my library. I thought I brought my library. There is a book, though, that's called, here it is. That's right, I've read it. The Power of Meeting New People. And in here, there is a spot that talks about gracefully exiting conversations. And there's all kinds of different ways to gracefully exit a conversation. There's also great conversational starters in here. Heck, there's 50 ways to break the ice, all in a little book. again, I didn't learn all this stuff just, because I was born and said, hey, I'm a networker. Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. Hey, where's the doctor? I had to learn this stuff. So the power of meeting new people goes into some really cool and clever ways to break the ice. It goes into some really cool ways to exit a conversation. So you can research it yourself, or you can come up here afterwards and look at the book yourself if you want. So a follow-up, a respectful follow-up. How do we do a respectful follow-up? Well, a lot of times, I think the best way is a thank you card. And really the most attractive personality trait that anybody could ever have is an attitude of gratitude. You ever notice that? People are just always thankful. My grandfather was that way. He wasn't always that way in his life. I'll tell you, the guy had a lot of enemies in the past, but by the time he had passed away, he didn't have many enemies. The only enemies he ever had was the enemies that they chose to be his enemy. It was really the only ones. And so to have an attitude of gratitude is really a significant trait to have. And so if you're constantly looking for ways that you can say thank you to somebody, people are going to be attracted to hang out with you. And they're going to want to hang out with you. I see a lot of head nods, so that must be true. So how do we write a thank you note? If you're Jimmy Fallon, you get a really cool piano key going. And then you'd say, thank you, ranch dressing, for making everything new I taste the same. Or you'd be like, thank you, bicyclist who rides by me and gives me a nice wave, for a kind gesture to say, you're exercising too. Have a nice life. It's fun. Jimmy Fallon's great. Here's how to write a thank you note. Step 1, greet the recipient. Dear Barb. That was tough sometimes. Number 2, express your gratitude. What are you thankful for? Thank you, Barb, for buying me that beautiful blue sweatshirt. I love wearing it. I didn't even know that you knew blue was my favorite color, but you do. You must know, and thank you for that blue sweatshirt. Because you got to elaborate. That's step 3. Elaborate. I like wearing blue sweatshirts when it's nice and cold outside, so it's good. Then compliment and future cast. So you pay a compliment to that, and then it was very nice seeing you, and compliment them on X, Y, or Z, and then say I'm really looking forward to the future to grab a cup of coffee with you. Then the last 2 here would be restate your gratitude. Heck, maybe I'll be wearing that cool blue sweater again. And then you can throw down your regards. Cheers, Tim. So it's simple. Did you know that? How many of you knew that there was an art to writing a thank you note? There's 2 of you. There's 2 of you. Trust me, I didn't know that either until I met my wife. And I was writing thank you notes one night, and she dropped this book in front of me. And I felt pretty. On a personal note. I was having trouble reading it upside down because I'm dyslexic. Just kidding. On a personal note, inside here it's how to write a thank you note, how to write a sympathy card, there's an art to everything that you could write. I was amazed by that here. It's like, wow, I don't know everything. Anyway, I've got time for this. This is going to be really quick. I'm going to give you all a trade show secret. Is that cool? Do you all go to trade shows? So is this adequate to give a trade show secret? Because I was just thinking of Jimmy Fallon. I was talking to Jimmy Fallon. And so this is going to fill out things. They're asking questions. It's just a ball. It's just so much fun. Do I do that every show? No, I only do it at the ones that they don't give me the list to, but it's been a lot of fun. So that's trade show secret. Thought I'd have some fun with that one, just because I talked about Jimmy Fallon. So I'm going to wrap things up because we're just out of time here. I've got 30 seconds. But just really become an encourager to people. I brought my library. I could show you all the different books that I have. Be willing to study. And one of the books that I was once given was called Balcony People. And it's just a tiny little book, and it's flowery. It looks like something on my grandma's shelf. It's awful. Matter of fact, when I was there, I had my Harry Potter book out, and when I was sitting at Perkins, and then I put my other book inside, and I'm like, Harry Potter, and really I'm reading Balcony People. So anyway, so the story is, it's all about giving a hand up, helping people up, elevator people. Are you looking down on people and pushing them down, holding them down so you stand taller? Or are you helping people up along the way? Because along the way they'll help you up too. It's all about platforms and helping others, right? Be encouraging. So no man can become rich unless they enrich others. Again, that's Dale Carnegie. But there's 4 windows to life. There's things that we know about ourselves that everybody knows about us. And that's going to happen in your network. There's things that you know about yourself that nobody else knows, and that's going to stay the way it is in your network. There are things that you don't know about yourself, but others know about you. And that's what you're hoping to draw out of people. You hope that people will share those things with you that you don't know about you, but they know about you. And even better yet, you need to be that person to them. Share with them the things that they don't know about them that they should know about them. You know what, you're really good at doing this. I think you should do this. And invite them. You know, you're a great networker. I really think that you connect well with people. You should be at the chamber. You know, come on out to the chamber. I'd love to introduce you to so-and-so and so-and-so. Oh, you really think I'm a good networker? No, I really don't, but you could be. You know what I mean? Just kidding. But no, invite them out. Have fun with them, right? And again, enjoy the journey along the way. And really, true success comes down to this. It's not about how much money you have or the material possessions that you possess. See, true success is about the number of lives that are better off because you lived. Be that encourager for other people. Help them out. My grandpa always said before he passed away, he says, and this is a part of a song too, he says, there's no hearse with a luggage rack, so it's about who you impact. That's good. So my assignment for you all here today is just really, you know, go out there, think of somebody that you could spread that gratitude message to, you know, why you're thankful for them, encourage them in some aspect or some way in life, because that will be rewarded, and you never know. There was once this time when I was at Region Broadcasting, and every day there was this Mountain Dew in the refrigerator. I got so sick of looking at the Mountain Dew, so I drank it. Well, then the next day, that Mountain Dew was back, and I'm like, where'd that come from? I come to realize that there was a gentleman that every day at 11 o'clock, it was part of his daily routine to drink that Mountain Dew. I did not know that. He got there before me. You know what? I totally screwed up his day. Went home, he kicked the cat, put a hole in the wall, you know? It was bad. It was a bad situation, but I felt bad, and I had to apologize for that because I was the one. He asked who drank it, but it totally triggered that bad day. So even just that smile again in the grocery store, be that encourager. Be that reason for somebody else to go home and make a difference or change their attitude that day. Because when you experience these small successes, you begin to believe in yourself. And when you begin to believe in yourself, you can then believe in others. So thanks again for having me. I hope you got something out of this networking talk. I know you did. Hope you all leave here changed and have some fun. So thanks again.
Thank you all. Appreciate it. Yes, it's hard to compete with barbecue, but here, if I pass out a couple things, you guys just pass those back. The insurance wheel of fortune, as I call it. Mahold Insurance. I'm Bob Mahold. I'm the managing partner at Mahold Insurance. We've been around for 80 years, though I don't think I look it. The agency was started by my great-grandfather in the 1930s when being a bank teller wasn't paying as well as selling life insurance on the side. So in the midst of the Depression, he decided to be an entrepreneur and start a business. And through hard work and a phenomenal amount of luck, we are still here. So Mahold Insurance, we do commercial insurance is our largest sector, both from in terms of property casualty and benefits. We also have a personal insurance department, and what we do really is risk management. Insurance is one way to handle risk, but it's only one part. The Insurance Wheel of Fortune outlines our AIM process. AIM stands for Analyze, Implement, and Monitor. If you've ever purchased clothes online, sometimes you get them and you find out that they don't necessarily fit. It's the same thing with insurance coverage. Just because that's what you had last year doesn't mean that it necessarily fits this year. Because you've been going to the gym, working on your wellness, and you've lost a lot of weight, right? When we look at new clients or our existing clients, constantly we are looking to see does what they have fit their needs. And if you just have someone come in and they say, look, I'll get you whatever you had last year, better, quicker, faster, but it's going to be exactly the same, it may not fit. So by analyzing an organization to find out what they do well and what they can improve on, we find ways to determine what it is that they really need. And we also find ways to make them better. That's when we go into the implement portion and help make our clients the best risks possible for insurance carriers. And then we monitor that program on an ongoing basis. So we're pretty proud of the work we do. We work with a lot of you out there. The rest of you, I'm sure that we will soon. But thanks for coming today. We really appreciate it. And looking forward to increasing everyone's network. Thanks.